Hi everyone, welcome back to the Car Cave if you are a returning viewer, or welcome for the first time if it's your first time. So today's video is going to be a little bit different. We're going to kind of piggyback off of the topic from our last video. I'll leave a link to that if you're interested, where we talked about what's new on the 911, the 992 generation compared to the 991.2. So after I did that video, I kind of started thinking about, what it would be like to actually own a 911. And part of owning a car, part of owning any car is maintenance. So I thought it would be interesting to find out how much does it really cost to own a car of that caliber. So I got in touch with Porsche of Riverside and they very kindly gave me some pricing. So this is a little cheat sheet that I made with kind of the maintenance schedule for a 911 and the associated pricing. Now, pricing is not set in stone. It's going to vary based on what dealer you go to, so take it with a grain of salt. But this will give you a kind of a ballpark of what you can expect if you were in the market for a 911. So I'll flash this up on the screen towards the end of the video if you want to pause the video and take a closer look at it. But otherwise, I'm just going to start running through what the services are and how much they could potentially cost. So Porsche services are pretty straightforward. Every year or 10,000 miles, whichever comes first. So if you put 2,000 miles on your car, you still got to bring it in for a service at the 1 year mark. So let's just go right on into it. For first year, 10,000 miles, you're going to do your oil change multi-point inspection. Pretty straightforward. That's going to set you back $625. So not too bad there. Second year or 20,000 miles, you're going to do your pollen filter replacement as well as your brake fluid flush. So Porsche recommends that you change the brake fluid every 2 years or 20,000 miles. Something else to think about, if you actually have 20,000 miles on your car by this point in time, you're probably going to want to start thinking about replacing your pads and rotors as well as your tires. You typically don't want to replace only your pads because they could be some warpage on the rotors and that's going to wear your pads out faster. So it's always recommended to just replace them at the same time. So if you don't have to replace pads, rotors, and tires, you're looking at $1,450. That's for the brake fluid flush, pollen filter, and oil change. If you do, it's $2,000 for pads and rotors and $2,100 for tires. That'll vary depending on what tires you put on the car, for a grand total of $5,550 for your second year service. 3 years or 30,000 miles. Now, this one could be just another oil change, but if you do have 30,000 miles, Porsche recommends you replace the spark plugs at this time. So if you do spark plug replacement with the oil change, it's going to set you back $2,195. The 4 year or 40,000 mile mark is considered a major service. If you haven't replaced your spark plugs, you're going to want to do that now, regardless of what miles you have. I'm going to assume you already did, so I'm not going to include that. But the major service will include a pollen and air filter replacement. You're going to replace your brake fluid again because you're 2 more years from when you did last time. And then same story with the pads, rotors, and tires, depending on your mileage and wear and tear. So if you don't have to do pads, rotors, and tires, the major service with the brake fluid will cost you $2,875. With tires and brakes, you're looking at $6,975. That's pretty much the general schedule for the 911. It kind of resets itself. So the 5 year 50,000 mark is going to be just an oil change and multi-point inspection again. So that's $625. And then it just keeps repeating itself over and over again for the life of the car. Why did I stop at 50,000 miles? Because that's when your warranty expires. I figured that's probably a good place to stop. And plus it just keeps repeating. So you can kind of interpret what's going to come next. Couple of other little items that to just kind of keep on your radar, especially if you're planning on buying a car used. At the 6 year or 60,000 mile mark, you're going to want to do a drive belt replacement. That's going to run you about $750, give or take. And then if you have PDK, you're going to want to replace your transmission fluid every 6 years or 60,000 miles. That's going to run you $1,995. If you get a manual, you only have to replace it every 12 years or 120,000 miles, and that'll cost you $1,195. So it's a little bit cheaper. So I did some kind of totals. If you never replace your pads, rotors, and tires in the first 5 years, your total cost of service is $7,770. If you replace your pads and rotors and tires every 2 years or 20,000 miles, you're looking at $15,970 for maintenance in the first 5 years for your brand new 911. Is that a lot? I mean, I guess it depends on who you ask, right? If you're buying a 100,000 plus car, probably is not that bad in a 5-year span. It's not that much. I mean, that roughly is about $3,000 a year if you are replacing your pads, rotors, and tires, and quite a lot less than that. It's about $1,500 a year if you're not. So it's not too bad when you consider the price point of the car, but I'll leave that up to you to judge. So I'm going to show this on the screen if you want to pause it real quick and take a closer look. That pretty much concludes it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. You already know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment, and the bell will tell you the next time we post. Our next video should be coming out pretty soon because we're just going to be building a 911 on the configurator, just like we did for the Cayman T. So something to look forward to. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.